So these right here are the correct UFC top 15 featherweight rankings. So today we're going to be fixing the UFC's featherweight rankings. They are some of the worst the UFC have ever done, in my opinion. Ever since UFC 314, the featherweight rankings are complete dog shit. They don't make any sense at all. So today we're going to be fixing it. So let's just glance our eye over this is what we're currently working with. This is what the UFC have provided us with. So Volkanovski is champion, obviously. Max Holloway in at number 1. Diego Lopez in at 2. Ilia Topuria in at 3. Movsar Evloev in at 4. Yair Rodriguez in at 4. Arnold Allen in at 6, Brian Ortega 7, Lerone Murphy 8, Aljamain Sterling 9, Josh Emmett 10, Gene Silva 11, Forrest Gump in at 12, Giga Chikadze is joint 12th as well, above David Onama. David Onama just beat Giga Chikadze, so how are you still ranked above him? I don't get it. Then we've got Dan Ige, and then we have got Calvin Kattar in at number 15. Like, hello? Is Stevie Wonder doing these rankings? Like, David Onama just beat Giga Chikadze, and Giga Chikadze still ranked above him? How does that make any sense at all? These rankings are so shit. Anyway, let's fix it. Starting off in at number 15, we have got Steve Garcia. Now, Steve Garcia is currently... He has won his last 3 fights by finish. Professional MMA record of 17 wins, 5 losses. Let's just take a look here just so I can prove it to you. Win in the second round by KO, win in the first round by KO, and then he stopped Cal Nelson in the first round. Steve Garcia, he is very unknown if we're being honest. I'm pretty sure he was meant to fight Edson Barboza, or I might have made that up, but he was due to get a big name in the featherweight division for his next fight. He is number 15 in my opinion. It makes so much sense to have this guy here, number 15. Moving on into number 14, we have got Giga Chikadze. Now, Calvin Kattar has been completely taken off this list in my opinion. Yes, I know the UFC have him in at number 15, and he has beaten someone like Giga Chikadze, but Calvin Kattar's on a 3-fight losing streak right now. He's off the list. Giga Chikadze is on here just by a thread. By a thread, this guy's on here. He's in at number 14. Moving on in at number 13 is Bryce Mitchell. I actually don't understand the logic in having Bryce Mitchell be removed from the rankings. I know in his last 3 fights he's got 1 win, 2 losses, and that 1 win is against Chrome Gracie, who I don't know if he's done a striking class before. I'm unsure. I actually don't know. I don't think he's ever thrown a punch. I'm hoping maybe soon this guy, with the amount of hours he's probably putting into the gym, he's going to unlock some new moves like a jab, like a cross, like a hook, maybe like an uppercut. You know, hopefully he's getting enough XP in the gym where he is eventually going to unlock this stuff. But Bryce Mitchell has beaten guys in the rankings like a Dan Ige. Do you know, Bryce Mitchell was ranked number 13th, I believe. Yeah, I think he was ranked number 13th before he fought Gene Silva. He loses to Gene Silva and then is instantly kicked out of the rankings. But yet Calvin Kattar's still there. Like, this is what I mean. Logically, the rankings don't make sense. Like, I've said this and I couldn't tell you how many videos now. Whoever is doing the UFC updates to the rankings, they need to do like a quick like IG video or a TikTok being like, this is why we have these people in the rankings. This is why we have them in this order. Explain. So then us as fans can go, right, this is what they're basing it off. Because maybe, you know, well, I'm basing this off logic, which is, I think, what they have to be based off. And I think every MMA fan, when they're looking at the rankings and they've got their own rankings in their head, it's based off fucking common sense and knowledge. But the UFC clearly aren't operating off that. So I would like to know what are the boundaries that they're working with. Bryce Mitchell is number 13. This guy is top 15 in the featherweight division. Clear as day. Now look, I don't want to throw out a conspiracy there, but maybe it's the new ownership of the UFC, maybe who they're associated with, and what Bryce Mitchell has said online. That's maybe why after a loss he's been kicked out of the rankings. Look, I'm not speculating. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying it's something to think about. Moving on then. In at number 12, we have got Dan Ige. Yes, Bryce Mitchell beat Dan Ige. It was a very close matchup. But Dan Ige, yes, he was coming off a couple of losses, but he got a good win at UFC 314 over Sean Woodson. He's just coming off a more recent win. Sean Woodson had a lot of momentum going into that matchup. A lot of people were actually picking him to beat Dan Ige. Dan Ige got a really good win in there. Early stoppage, yes, but Dan Ige was on his way to win in that fight, in my opinion, anyway. Dan Ige, I have him above Bryce Mitchell because he's got a more recent win, and I still think Sean Woodson is a really good fighter, and it's a really good win that Dan Ige has. Moving on, the number 11, we've got David Onama. Now, this guy, in his last 3 fights, he's won all 3 by decision. He beat Giga Chikadze, who was in the rankings when he fought him, and in my reality, Giga Chikadze is still in the rankings, just barely. But David Onama should be above him. He's currently on a 3-fight win streak. I think it might be more. But yeah, he's on a win streak. He beat Giga Chikadze. That's why I have him above the likes of a Dan Ige. I know Dan Ige is maybe a bit more proven in the UFC, and he's been in there with a lot of elite featherweights, but David Onama is on a win streak. He just beat someone in the rankings as well, in Giga Chikadze. This is why he is currently sitting at number 11. Moving on now, we're breaking into the top 10. In at number 10, we have got Forrest Gump, aka Yusuf Zalal. This guy is on another win streak as well, if we're being honest. 3-fight win streak here. 2 submissions, beat Jack Shore, that's a really good win, and then he beat Calvin Kattar in a very meh performance, if we're being honest. There was a lot of running involved in there. Calvin Kattar obviously isn't in the rankings in my world, but when Yusuf Zalal fought him, he was in the rankings, plus he's on a win streak. He is in at number 10. Yusuf Zalal is in at number 10. David Onama doesn't deserve to go above him, in my opinion. Moving on. Now in at number 9, we have got Gene Silva. Now people might say this is a bit of a too big of a jump for Gene Silva because he beat Bryce Mitchell, who is his first ranked win in the featherweight division, and Bryce Mitchell was outside the top 10. However, Gene Silva is on a really good win streak at the minute. I know one of those wins comes at lightweight against Drew Dober, but it's Gene Silva. He beat Bryce Mitchell by submission. He's on a good win streak. He's finishing basically nearly every fight he's in, and his name value has carried him into the top 10, if I'm being honest. I think number 9 is a good spot for him. I think the ranking list that I'm going to deliver here today by the end of this video, I think this is like near on perfect. I think everybody will agree with me on this one. I don't think there's any like controversial spots in here. It's very like common sense the way I have people ranked in here. Gene Silva's in at 9. Moving on, in at number 8 is Josh Emmett. Look, Josh Emmett is obviously coming off a loss. You can maybe have Gene Silva above him because Josh Emmett's last win is against Bryce Mitchell as well. Gene Silva does have the momentum, like I said, but Josh Emmett, when you just look at the level of opposition that Josh Emmett is fighting and you compare it to the level of opposition that Gene Silva's been fighting, Josh Emmett stands out more in my opinion. He is just above Gene Silva. You could maybe have Gene Silva above him, but personally, for me anyway, I would have Josh Emmett still above Gene Silva in a number 8. Moving on, in the number 7, it is Aljamain Sterling. Look, Aljamain Sterling is much better than the number 7th ranked featherweight in my opinion, but just with the work that he's done in the featherweight division, he has to be in here at number 7. Look, I'd like to see Aljamain Sterling get back in there ASAP. I think Arnold Allen would be a perfect matchup for Aljo to come back to, or a Brian Ortega. Either one of those makes a lot of sense. He is coming off the loss at UFC 310 to Movsar Evloev. A very, very close matchup, if we're being honest. Some people actually thought Aljamain Sterling did win that matchup, and I am the head of the Aljamain Sterling fan club, but Movsar did beat him. It was very, very close, but Movsar did beat Aljamain Sterling in that matchup, but Aljo is in at number 7. Moving on, in at number 6, it's Yair Rodriguez. I don't want to hear anybody tell me no, he needs to be up there more. No, he doesn't. Yair Rodriguez is a win one, lose one fighter. Number 6 is very generous for Yair Rodriguez. This is the perfect spot for him. I don't know how the UFC have him in the current rankings tied with Movsar Evloev. It actually makes zero sense. There's no even argument to be made as to why he should be there. It doesn't make any sense. Here in his last 3 fights, he got finished by Alexander Volkanovski, he got finished by Brian Ortega, and he beat Patricio Pitbull, who isn't even ranked, doesn't even have one win in the UFC. I know he's a big name in the world of MMA, the Bellator GOAT, but in terms of what he's done in the UFC, zero, nothing. and then you have him tied with Movzar, and he's going to get another title shot. Just doesn't make any sense at all. You are number 6. Moving on into number 5. Look, people might say, how is Brian Ortega in at number 5? How is he not? Brian Ortega, yes, let's go through his matchups. He lost to Yair Rodriguez by injury. So Yair actually didn't beat him. Brian Ortega just got injured. He then submitted Brian Ortega in round 3, and then he lost to Diego Lopez. But look at this one right here. This was a year ago. It's not as if this was like 6 years ago. 1 year ago, he submitted Yair Rodriguez. But because Yair Rodriguez beat Patricio Pitbull, who again doesn't have any wins in the UFC, he then jumps above him. Not on my watch. Brian Ortega is in at number 5. In at number 4 is Arnold Allen. Look, Arnold Allen is coming off a win to Giga Chikadze. Before that, he had a very, very controversial loss to Movzar Evloev. A lot of people thought that he won that. Before that, he did lose to Max Holloway. But he has beaten the likes of Dan Hooker, Calvin Kattar, Giga Chikadze. He was unbeaten for a very long time as well. He's been in there and mixed it up with the best. He is in at number 4. Number 3 is Lerone Murphy. Look, Lerone Murphy's undefeated, 16-0. He's coming off a big win over Josh Emmett. Before that, he beat Dan Ige. Before that, he beat Edson Barboza. Those were 3 ranked wins that he's got. He's number 3. He is number 3 in this division. I know the UFC have him currently ranked at number 8. Personally, he's much better than that, in my opinion. And we also have to remember, Max Holloway and Ilia Topuria are out of the featherweight rankings. Ignore that voice break. They are not featherweights anymore. Both guys have made that clear. They are fighting in the lightweight division. So why are they in the rankings? They have both made it clear that they are moving to the lightweight division. So why are they still in the rankings? Get them out. Get them out. Get them out and make the move. Fucking pushing in. Get Max Holloway and Ilia out of the rankings. It doesn't make any sense at all. And the fact that you have Max above Ilia, even though Ilia just knocked Max out, like, what the fuck are we doing here? Are our brains wedged in our ass? Is that where our brains are located? In the UFC's fucking company? Whoever's doing the rankings? This is dog shit. Get these guys out of the rankings. Lerone Murphy's in at number 3. In at number 2, obviously, Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez coming off a loss to Alexander Volkanovski. Before that, though, he was on a good win streak, beating the likes of Brian Ortega, Dan Ige, Sadiq Youssef, he beat him as well, Pat Sabatini, and he had a close fight with Movzar Evloev in his debut. He is number 2. Easily number 2. And obviously, number 1 in the rankings is Movzar Evloev. Like, there is no argument the UFC can make that would even put Movzar anywhere but 1. The guy's beaten Aljamain Sterling, Diego Lopez, Arnold Allen, Dan Ige, but yet he's number 4 with Yair Rodriguez. I'm getting sick of the UFC's rankings. Like, it's not hard to do. This is the correct ranking list, and obviously the champion, the featherweight GOAT in Alexander Volkanovski. That's obvious. So let's just recap, right? Movzar 1, Lopez 2, Lerone Murphy 3, Arnold Allen 4, Brian Ortega 5. Is Brian Ortega moving up to the lightweight division? We're yet to know. I thought he was moving up. Nothing's really been confirmed yet. He's standing at number 5. 6 is Yair Rodriguez. That makes sense to have him there. Like, Yair is not top 5 featherweights right now in the UFC, just basing it off his recent work. Not top 5. Absolutely not. He's number 6. Number 7 is Aljamain Sterling. Again, Aljo is much better than the 7th ranked featherweight in my opinion, but basing it off his work in the featherweight division, this is why he's here. 8 is Josh Emmett. 9 is Gene Silva. 10 is Forrest Gump. 11 is David Onama. 12 is Dan Ige. 13 is Bryce Mitchell. 14 is Giga Chikadze. And rounding off the correct UFC top 15 is Steve Garcia. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I will see you all again in the next one.